Salute everybody. Welcome to Switching Lanes with Miss Parker. Miss Parker, I appreciate everybody that pulled up and hit that like button early. And I appreciate everybody that's here. Let me do my shout outs. Please don't forget to hit that like button as you come in. Turn on your notification bell so you won't miss a demonstration. Also, share the live out, please, and thank you. Also, I have a YouTube Go of 5. It's an incentive given to YouTube content creators by YouTube. So they ask you to explain the goal or whatever. So if you don't mind helping me reach a 5 goal, anything is welcome. Also, feel free to purchase a membership and join the Rider Switching Lanes team as well. Something else. Oh, yeah. Say hello to your neighbor as you come in. Make everyone feel welcome and comfortable, please. And thank you. Salute Zilla, my rider. There's a witch hunt for Miss Parker. I know I'm standing 10 toes down with her. Let's go, riders. Man, Zilla say the devil is busy. We are seeing that, and I seen it as of today. But we ain't going, okay? We're gonna stay focused, Zilla. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna stay in my yard. I know that as of today, I keep saying that, but you know, a hard head makes a soft ass. So that's just where I am with it today, okay? I have to learn my lesson, the hard way. Andy, thank you for becoming a member of my sister, my rider. Thank you, Sylvia Williams. Thank you for becoming a new member. I appreciate you as well. Sam, I seen you become a new member. Thank you so much. Hey, Foxy. Hey, love. Alma, my sister, my rider, Foxy. My sister, my rider, Short. My sister, my rider, Regina. My sister, my rider, Shank Rock. My love. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Lalizi, my love, Adjusted, my love, Pebbles, Morgan, Tammy Lynn, Natasha. Thank you guys so much, my sisters, my riders, Queen Judah, Nisha, Nola, Almighty Stream, my sister, my riders. Thank you, Zilla, thank you. Ron, my sister, my rider, Gina, my sister, my rider, Tanya, my sister, my rider. Regina said, "Why is everyone scared to speak up against Diddy? Are they being threatened? He was one of the biggest traffickers." It's always somebody. You're gonna catch the replay, okay, Nola? That's fine. It's always gonna be. It's always somebody bigger than Diddy too, Regina. Remember that. It's always. I got stuck on Mocha Sahong on back. Okay, thank you, Nola, my sister, my rider. Thank you, thank you. This is gonna be presented by one of the subscribers. Hey Pam, my sister, my rider. Um, we have to switch lanes, and when we switch lanes, sometimes switching lanes is just finding justice for these children, learning new stories, whose name to keep alive, also knowledge and history. Because sometimes we think, oh, we was enslaved, we was this, but do we think about what happened to other people? Do we think about others? Because that's what love is. Love is thinking about other people, not just our melanated people, not just our heritage and history. Because it's always somebody's history besides us that's going to be changed and it's going to be forgotten. I sent you a very disturbing story, Miss Parker. Okay, I'll cover it. Zilla, you send it on where'd you send it at? On my email or Insta or Corey D, welcome. Bronze, welcome. I'll get to it, Zilla. I'll get to it. Another very disturbing story. Plus, I got some names from earlier. Facts, all of our children are leaving us. It sees no color. And it's a lot of things I learned from you guys. And just so I can give out a PSA, as I was getting dressed today, I took a shower, took another shower, and I said, let's be it. My rider, Sam, my rider. Thank y'all for becoming members, okay? Appreciate y'all. God said, Miss Parker. And it be scaring me out because when it comes to me, it's not a voice, but it's just something that just takes over every thought I had in my head previously. And he said to me, you got a village. You asked for a village, I gave you one. You could feed the village, but let the village feed you. You need them just as much as they need you. So I plan to do that for each and every one of y'all. I thank God for bringing y'all to me. at the right time in my life for change and me seeing things for what they really are, not turning a blind eye to everything. And I just want y'all to know I appreciate y'all. And I'm glad he brought every one of y'all here with me. Everybody can't go with me and everybody can't help me build this village, but hey, it just is what it is. But for now, until God reveals to me what it is, then I appreciate y'all. And thank y'all. Thank you, Zilla. All y'all. Tony King, Top Flight, Allison, all y'all. Y'all feed the village with these stories for these kids and so much more. And even the story I'm going to share tonight. And it's okay to switch lanes. It's okay to switch gears. And we definitely need to learn history together. That's how we grow. Absolutely, Zilla. We will heal and grow together. Mama Boo, my sister, my rider. Hold on, Mama Boo. Hold on. Let me turn this down. Hold on, Mama Boo. And we're going to get into it. How's y'all day been? You know, I know we was a little sad earlier, but hey, God said for us to go refresh and regroup and let's learn a little history. This history is a little sad. And I'm going to tell you guys why. Because just when I thought it was just African American people that went through the worst, so did these Native Americans. I noticed that anybody of a different skin tone, let's not forget the border, and had they had them down there living in cages. It might not have been the same labor, but somewhere down the road, somebody went through something similar to what we went through. And I want to share that with you guys tonight. I see another girl, 17, missing in Pontiac. Courtney, drop the name for me, love, and I'll write it down on my notes, okay? This is a story of what really happened at the Muskoekwan school in Canada. It was super sad, and salute to the subscribers for, you know, dropping this knowledgeable information. We was talking about trafficking and different things like that to wake our communities up, to make it safer for us. Absolutely, sister. To make it better for us. To make our community safer for our children. Our loved ones that we are going to leave, that's going to have a generation set in front of them. It's going to be worse than what we're living in. But if I can make a difference in the community, I want to. If I can make a difference with my kids, because who talks about history in the home? I didn't even know till the other day doing my news clips that we had African Americans had a flag. I was like, wait, what? But this is some clips about I was reading up on it, and it's really sad. Tanya, it is. But here's a clip, and I want to play this for you guys before we get into the story.
Today we are acknowledging the painful and often ignored history of boarding schools and residential schools. It's often excluded from history books, from curriculums. Like, people just don't learn about it. You don't hear about residential schools and boarding schools when you learn about U.S. history. And as a Native American person or an Indigenous person, it's been part of our lives. So far, 50 kids have been identified as passing away or dying at the school. We've identified some of the graves, but a lot have not been identified.
Amy Sezu is a volunteer for Remembering the Children. Her organization is calling attention to what happened in the Rapid City Indian School and other boarding schools like it.
The shoes represent the kids. Kids as young as 3 years old went into boarding schools, all the way through 18 years old. Most of Rapid City didn't even know that we had an Indian boarding school here until about 7 years ago when this project emerged. The intention of boarding schools was to assimilate. It was to kill the Indian and save the man. It was meant to detach people from their cultural identities, from their tribal communities, from their homelands.
Many struggle to understand what caused the deaths.
Could be diseases. We don't know. Could have been beat to death. Don't know. You know. Could have just been outright murder. Don't know that either. You know. All we know is that it did happen. You know. And now it's coming to light.
Roberta Akofi was a student at Rapid City's boarding school.
You see, when you're growing up there, you know, so much cruelty, and the nuns were like authoritarians. I had a cousin, they caught her and they just whipped her till you can even count the number of times she was hit.
Roberta's great aunt was one of the students who died while attending the school.
They didn't come until about 3 months after they were buried and told them that they had passed away. So, you know, things like that happen, that you would lose your kids and they would bury them. You wouldn't even know about it. It's a process. It's a long walk, you know. I'm still not okay with it. I still get mad over my mom, the things done to our Native people. It just breaks your heart, you know. But it's all coming out now, you know. Secrets can't be buried forever.
She said secrets can be buried forever. I mean, can't be buried forever. Ain't that the truth? Hasn't so much of African American history never been displayed? And you have to talk about it to your children because they don't talk about it in the school. This is crazy. I was born in Rapid City. That's why, you know, it's important, Rob, to take a step back and learn something different for each and every one of us. Not just me, but it's a lot of stuff I didn't know until Black History Month. And it displays on this YouTube app. And I say, dang, what? What happened? But why should I just worry about what's buried? Because I knew if something was buried within our history, what happened to the Indians? What's their real history? We all heard the Pocahontas stories, but it's something far more deep. We know that white Americans did not discover America. It was people here. But why won't they say that? Why do the kids not learn that in school, that it was people here before us? Before they bought themselves here. They want to say America was built off greatness. No, it was stolen. It was stolen. See, you go to jail now for stealing, correct? They stole the whole country. And still to this day, let's be honest, taking things that just don't belong to them for power. If we be honest about history, we wasn't allowed to read, but we had to teach master's kids to read. We had to cook their food. We learned recipes from our ancestors and our ancestors' ancestors to make fresh rye bread. There wasn't ingredients in the store to buy but flour. Sister, you know, everything was garden that we planted. The cotton in the pillow made in the USA. We planted those seeds. We did so much. But you don't learn about that in the classroom. today. Black history is non-existence. Native American history is non-existence. Again, they hear about Pocahontas. They might let you hear about Harriet Tubman. But what about the real history? The history that matters, the history that counts, the history that speaks truth. See, the stories we hear about is all their greatness. But tell the sad truth. Some of us are walking around with melanated skin, but little do we know, if you do your ancestry history, God knows what you'll find out. Master had plenty of kids by slaves. This is where the light skin and dark skin thing comes into play in our lives. They want to say, oh, it's a South thing, it's a North thing. No. This was put on us when we was going through slavery, when our ancestors was dealing with slavery. You might just get a pass being light skinned. It was enslaved in our heads that light skin meant something. Because being brown or any color darker than ivory, it was a curse. And this is why this story is important to me. I just found out my great-grandmother was full Native American. She was beautiful. You see what I'm saying, Rob? Hey, sis, when you get here. Okay. Hey, Juanita, sis, somebody did their research. Come on now. Yes, my ancestry shocked me. And it's not a bad thing, Sam. It's not a bad thing, Raw. We deserve to know the history. We deserve to know the history of our ancestors, not just we prevented our iron. We made a perm. No. The real pain, the real suffering. Why are the indigenous people such a problem? When the same blood runs through everybody's veins. Different traits of blood, but same blood. Nobody bleeds blue, correct? Hey, Hurricane. Nobody bleeds pink. Hey, Natasha. Hey, sister. Correct? We all bleed red. But for some reason, here comes the devil. This goes back as far as slavery. He had a rule upon this earth to make some good, some bad. Even if we done some things bad, that doesn't mean we're bad people. We made poor decisions and bad things. We danced with the devil for a while. And when you dance with the devil, guess what? It works out, but not forever. I lost my faith. But guess what? Time is never on our side, but God is. And in due time, I knew that everything was going to be revealed. You're never a mutt, Regina. Everybody's blood means something down the line. But at what cost? And this is when it comes to Canada's dark secret. To the subscribers that recommended this documentary, to Zen, to Latif, to Black and Missing Children, and Sean B, that I was in the chat like, hey, yeah, you never heard that story? And so much more. Our history is worded in the Bible. But we don't even go by it, do we, Pam? We just don't believe. But we'll believe we got beat. We'll believe that history. We'll believe we got hung by nooses. But y'all got to remember that it was somebody here with us. When the blue man tried to say they came and discovered a piece of land. Taking something from someone, and we see it so much in neighborhoods today. You can't leave no man behind. Anything associated to that entity has to go. And that's what they did at the school. And you say, why? You ask questions like, why? Why? Why was this done? Why was this done to us? Why was this done to children as young as 3? And when I went live earlier, I said, imagine when we wake up and I get our kids ready for school. We know what time they get out. We look at our watch. We know how to wrap things up in the house, get everything tidy. But when the kids come in, we go with structure. Some of us just got to flow. But we always expect our children in our homes at a certain time. When we open that door and check on them at night, we expect our child to be in their room. This is the story of Canada's Dark Secret.
This is what Ivy League universities you can get into with a 3.6 GPA.
90% of students with a 4.0 plus GPAs get rejected from universities like Harvard, Stanford.
My name is Roberta Hill. I'm from the Mohawk Nation, Grand River Territory. I'm a survivor of the Mohawk Institute Residential School. I was here as a student from 1957 to January 1961, and I came here with 6 of my family. A lot of bad memories here, that's for sure. These are really familiar to me. I used to play on these on the girls' side. I was playing down in the basement on the girls' side, and my mother had come up to the visiting area, and the little kids had said, "Your mother's here. You want to go see her?" And I ran. But when I got to the doorway over there, I froze right in front of the stairs, and I couldn't move. And I just stood there crying. And the more I cried, the worse it got, and I could see myself. I could actually, like an out-of-body experience, I could see this little girl crying. And it was me, and the little girl said, well, if you don't you love your mother? Or don't you want to see your mother? And and I did. I really did. She said, she's going to leave you. She's going to leave if you don't go see her. So at that time, I knew that she would go. Then things just kind of came back, and I just like tears. I just took off running up those stairs. And I went and sat on my mother. And at that time, all I did was cry. I just cried and cried. And it wasn't because I didn't want to see her. I loved her. It was just so hurtful to have to part with her again. Because my mother she was a really good mother,
Not much to say about good times here. They're all ridden by the bad. The bad is enormous. There's a tremendous amount of evil that went on here.
So the whole institution itself was run by fear. So it was very regimented, more like a military style. You lined up for everything. You lined up for your meals. You lined up to go to school. You lined up to go to church. It was just like that, follow that routine. And you would be okay if you followed and didn't break the rules, so you learn to follow the rules.
I didn't have the freedom as a child or as a young teenager. I was always kind of under the supervision of somebody. But we got up about 6 o'clock and we were sent down to called the playroom. And it was always cold in the basement. Early in the morning, still a lot of chill in the air. And yet they put us in a big cement room. And we had to keep warm however we could. We learned all kinds of farm work. I worked on a farm so long that I picked up a certain discipline where hard work would get me where I'm going.
And I think at some point there was somebody here that, I don't know if it was a kid or a supervisor, told me I would never leave here. So that really stuck in my mind that I was going to be in this place forever. You're isolated. All you see is this world around you. This is it. That was my world. I didn't learn about all those other things that were going on until my adult life. I didn't know there was all those other residential schools. I don't think anybody in Canada knew that much. So it was kept very secretive. And yet when you start to look at every residential school across Canada, you find the same things.
And I came to the Mohawk Institute when I was about 6 or 7 years old. And I spent 6 years here. I was picked up on an Indian reserve at Moravian Town.
And real quick, so you guys know, the president of Canada has that signed the bill where any survivors can't talk about everything that happened in that school. I don't know how they're doing it, but it's called, I think, a TRA bill. And this is the saddest thing I ever, they can't tell their truth. They can't tell their truth. Silencing these people from the horror, the trauma, the torture. They tortured those children. It's like a gag. Absolutely. It's definitely a gag order in place. And welcome Juanita and Zilla to the Riders family. We all riders, even if you're not in blue yet. I will get to you in due time. But welcome my sisters to the Riders family, and y'all all my sisters, even you, Pam, but in due time, okay, sister?
And walking on a road.
No offense, but if you're paying more than $30 a month on car insurance, you're getting ripped off. Everybody knows you can buy.
We were going to visit my grandmother one day, a nice July day back in 1955. There was 4 of us and 1 girl, my sister. And we came over that little rise over there, and we were heading down here. And a black car pulled alongside of us. And we didn't know who it was at the time. The driver said, "Would you like a ride there?" We said no, we didn't know who they were. We kept on walking, and they kept pace with us in their car. And they kept trying to get us to get in. And we refused for a couple hundred yards that way. And they offered us some ice cream and Jell-O at the restaurant in Thamesville. And I had ice cream. After we finished, we all loaded back up into the car. But they never went back the way they came. They went around away from the reserve. I fell asleep, and I never woke up until we were coming up to the Mohawk Institute. But after I got old enough, I realized I was kidnapped. Like I said, my dad didn't know. The Department of Indian Affairs and the churches, they didn't care how they got the children here.
I wanted to take a minute to read what it said. It said, many of the children who attended residential schools were taken by force. Hey, Asia Boo. Hey, Lisa, my sister, my riders. Hey. Or were kidnapped by government officials. Parents who withheld their children or who try to remove them from the schools faced arrest and imprisonment. How is something that they had incurred for 9 months forced and kidnapped only for these people to go to jail or imprisonment? Hey, Nika, my love, my sister, my rider. I want y'all to think about this. And this story is deep, Sam. I think everybody should do their own research on this story. It goes deeper.
I believe it was February, about 2 years ago. I was on the Board of Sessions at Chisholm United Church in Chisholm Township. It's about 5 miles out of here. And my first Board of Sessions meeting, in fact, and there was 2 other members and the minister and myself. And the minister was going through the agenda that we were to talk about that day, and she mentioned the residential school system. And all of a sudden I started to shake and broke down crying. Had no idea why. I didn't know what this was about at all. From that, I ended up going to my doctor and for some help for depression, and he referred me to a psychologist in North Bay, and took her probably 20 minutes to determine that the biggest part of my problem was from that incident 50 years earlier. I was stationed there in the RCMP. We had a territorial jail there, which most times I was a jail guard at night. And this day shift, I happened to be assigned to whatever came on through the door. It would be sometime between November of 64 and April of 65. On a day shift, I was assigned to assist an agent from the residential school system to pick up 2 children from a family in Fort Smith, the Northwest Territories. I went to the door of this home, and the woman who lived there knew why we were there. She knew that her two daughters were being sent to residential schools. The mother was crying, both children were crying, probably 6 and 8 years old. And I took the 6-year-old from her arms, actually, and turned them over to the agent. He jumped in his car and took off to the airport, and that was basically the end of it. I never saw them. I don't remember the children's names, but I'll never forget the cries.
Hey, have you ever been told you have a nice voice? Well, what if I told you you could turn your voice?
Imagine your 6-year-old baby being snatched. The cries, the screams of us teaching our kids stranger danger. I'm from Kentucky too. My sister-in-law from Kentucky. You two women try to influence my daughter to send her 6-year-old daughter to a boarding school somewhere in Kentucky, Ohio. I told myself, hell no. So many children ran away and some even passed while attending that school. It's a wow and it's a crazy story. Horrible. But imagine, for every mother that's in the chat that has children, grandmothers, cousins, aunties. I'm Lexington. Screaming the cries of the babies, being forced, snatched to go live some unimaginable horror. And we wonder where kids are going today.
At the time, I didn't like the idea of taking kids away from their family. It bothered me. And of course, being in the RCMP, I had no alternative, couldn't complain about it. The only thing I knew about the Indian residential schools was a place where they could get formal education, and I didn't see any problems with it. Since then, I've come to realize what they were about, and I know differently now. And that's part of the story that I want to tell. It took up maybe 5 minutes of my life, and I buried it back in 64, 65. And about 50 years later, it came back to haunt me here in Powassan.
We were sitting at this very spot. I'm not sure if it was exactly the same table, but we were sitting at this very spot at a board meeting. You remember, Ron, you were on the board at the time, and the board at that time had decided that they wanted to study this book called A Healing Journey for Us All. And part of that took us into residential schools. Well, let me say first clearly that I think the residential school history within Canada is one of the greatest tragedies, if not the greatest tragedy in our whole history as a country. The damage that's been done to so many lives, and the damage that it continues to be done and that will be felt generationally is just, it's beyond one. I mean, it's hard to even take it in.
Residential schools are schools that were set up by the government of Canada, and there are other countries that have the same thing, but it was a policy that was put into place to bring as many Indigenous people as possible into these schools, to educate them into the European way of life, to take you away from your culture, your language, all your traditions, and that's what it's about. In order to sever the...
Look at all those kids. Look at all of these kids, y'all. Look at all of these kids, not adults. Look at all of these children. E-Baby said, I grew up in a group home. Sometimes it was good, and other times it was bad. So I can only imagine. And it's more than 35. You'll see. That's all that most of them have counted. It's over thousands and thousands and thousands. They said 6,000. But some that live to tell it said it's double that amount and more. I mean, it is. It's heartbreaking.
Those ties in your culture and your language, they had to separate children from families and communities. We wore uniforms, you all dressed the same, you had your hair cut the same, you were all one.
And it was to assimilate us, to make sure we didn't have any Indian left in us when we finally left here. Oh. They took us to church every Sunday. We had to say prayers and things like that. We weren't allowed to talk in our language. We had to speak English. But it wasn't indoctrination. Like, they didn't put us in one room and teach us, indoctrinate us all day long or anything like that. It's just the way, the routine of the place. It was in the routine that you didn't speak anything but English. You went to white man's school. You went to white man's church. You wore the white man's clothes. All those were built in. It wasn't a classroom lecture kind of thing. It was.
He said you went to the white man's church, you wore the white man's clothes, and you talk like the white man. Born a queen. Salute, sister. Thank you, E-Baby. Thank you. Don't cry. It's just we got to bring awareness and teach our kids this history and our history. And I like what Ross said earlier for everybody that missed it. She said, start talking to, if you have a grandmother that's still living, man, cherish it and ask questions about the history. Do our homework about our history, because they're taking it from us pretty soon. Our youth is going to know nothing but social media, unaliving. Our kids, our African melanated children, guess what? We wonder why it's 480,000 in a state. 30,000 missing kids in a city. How is that possible? I'll wait. And we wonder why it's never a poster. We never see anything. It never goes across the news. A lot of us said, I didn't know that story. Yeah, no cap. That's how they did us, but we woke now. That sounds so familiar. Us. I want us to stop thinking about us and think about everybody. When I seen the border a couple of years ago and them kids was in cages, I knew it was only a matter of time before they try to get us again. One can't help but think that, correct? What they think they're giving us a break? See, they want to erase our history. They want to erase what happened in Canada. That's why they came up with that bill for them not to talk. How do you tell somebody not to talk about their past? I remember as a kid missing children on the back of milk. But if you didn't drink milk, James, and I remember that, I'm a 70s baby, you didn't know, correct? milk cartons. And it was certain milk.
It was ingrained in the system. There's about 11 years, it was taken from them. There was no mother, no father figures. Nobody said good night or come and see you if you were sick or something. Nobody looked after you except that they put us in a big playroom similar to this dining room. And we sort of looked after ourselves.
Nobody coming to say, are you okay? Checking to see if the kids was okay. He said they looked after themselves. Sorry, I had to put some eye drops in my ears. Man, if they come for us, these kids now, they better be careful because these kids ready for war. At least they were where go to find a culture. They have the Indian Reserve. What does that melanin people who was here before them? What is so sad about these kids that they were in cages, 1,200 are still lost and will not return back to their parents. I'm a parent. I couldn't imagine. I'm a grandparent. I couldn't imagine somebody coming to take my little stinker doodle man and say that if I didn't want them to take my doodle man, that I would go to jail. They already stole from them once. You think that history wasn't embezzled in their mind about them stealing the land of the people? Of their people, our people, after us over in boats, we was here. We would spread it out. Hey, Denise. Yeah, Denise.
What was going on across this country that so many children were being taken? So many children were being put into residential schools. And my thing is, if they were such a wonderful school, they were models, everybody should have had them. Non-Native Europeans, everybody should have had a residential school, not just one race of people. It's a very racist policy, you know. But that's what the intent was. It was to kill the Indian and the child, and pretty much they've done it. So you get punished for being who you are.
It's a school where you were punished for the least of infractions. And the punishments were severe.
And punishment for things you never did. You never did them. I don't think I ever did anything wrong that would deserve a strap. Never. And yet you got it.
You never knew when you went over the line. They let you know by giving you a beating. Beating sounds so simple, but it was more than that. It was terror, that accompanied each beating.
Fort Albany, when you have children put in an electric chair for entertainment or for punishment, those are crimes against humanity. And yet different things. And I've heard of other guys having electric currents.
And they brought us into a place they called the press room, where most of the beatings went on. And we went in there one at a time and got a good shellacking with a leather strap. Like, everybody was afraid of it, but everybody knew they were going to get it sooner or later.
Just remember them crying. There was a lot of crying in this place, a lot of tears. And yet we find out it was like thousands upon thousands of children that were being abused.
Despite the beatings and the ferocity of some of the beatings, we still defied the authority to run away. The boys' side housed over 60 boys. Despite this number, each of us were lonely beyond despair. From within, we each had our own battles to fight. We were lost, lonely, scared, and confused, but our biggest battle was to keep our secrets. Our lives were shrouded in secrecy. No one could know what we all collectively knew, that kids were being raped and molested in large numbers, sodomized by beasts. No one could know. No one would ever know. Sodom and Gomorrah had to be a nicer place, so we tried to escape. A carnal sin, what irony. Those caught were ferociously and relentlessly beaten with the leather machinery belts carried by all the staff, including the principal, the cannon. Beaten until their screams echoed out to the yards and in among the barns, down the laneway and up the city streets. Beaten until there was silence. That was the scariest. Despite this, we ran away. I believe each of us tried to at least once to escape that boy's prison, the hellish place with demons all about. Yeah, it's open. There's the boilers. At that far end is where I got molested time and time again. Day after day, boy, did I ever wish.
He said, day after day. He said, day after day. Imagine going somewhere where you was held captive, and he said it's open and you got a point. Yeah, I got molested there every day.
Somebody would come by or somebody would miss me somehow. And nobody ever came. And I just came out of there feeling so dirty, rotten, low, as you can imagine. And I thought every kid out there knew that I had what happened to me. But I think it all happened to them because none ever bothered me. None ever asked me what happened in there. So I think we all got it at one point or other. But it was a nasty, dirty place. But here's where I got molested right here. I remember standing against this wall there and he had his way with me. And I was just about that high. It's the time in my life when I felt so dirty and so all alone. When he had me down in the boiler room and he took my clothes off. And I was just standing there, a little guy, just disgusted at what he was doing.
It said the rate for the toddlers was much higher. Today, it is believed that 6,000 children perished at Canada's residential schools. Some estimate that the total casualties could be 3 times that number.
I think it's very, very possible that children did die here, but we'll never know. It's just I've heard too many different stories for it to be all lies. If they're not buried here, they're probably buried somewhere on the property. And it's just one of those things that in time we may come across it. But this we can investigate. If there's any truth to it, if there's anything in there, just from the people that I know, from the survivors that I know, that say that, yeah, they remember this being something. And you don't just put a window at the bottom of a basement for no reason. I like finding old friends, and Winnie is what I know her by from the residential school, the Mohawk Institute. When we first went in there, my sister and I were separated into groups, and I had one older girl that took me under her wing, and my sister Dawn, Winnie looked after her.
Well, I don't, when I was there, I don't even remember going there. I don't even remember the people picking me up out of my home. I don't remember that. All I know, I was just there. So then I met this older person, this older girl. She kind of took care of me when I was growing up. And she told me when she's ready to leave, because she was in 12, 13, maybe 14, she said that she was going to ask her mother to come and get me and take me home to be her little sister. But that didn't happen because she because she got hurt. She got hurt bad. I think somebody hit her on a tree. And I don't know. I think she died, but I'm not really sure. But I don't know. Well, anyway, I've been able to say in the last few years that they killed her. And I was there. I saw what happened to her. Sometimes I used to dream of her. She would come to me in a dream, but it hurts to talk about it. Because I remember her when she used to piggyback me on her back, and we'd run and play. And when I got hurt, she'd pick me up and she'd give me a hug and tell me not to cry. Like, why we should be doing that now? After they smashed her in the tree. That sound, sometimes you can hear it on TV on the murder shows. That's a sound. Even if a glass breaks today, I'll scream. And then sometimes my family gets mad at me. I said, well, I can't help it. I said, it's the sound. It scares me. And
Imagine your loved one gets smashed in a tree. Imagine every time a glass breaks, you jump. See, we don't know the feeling if we haven't been through trauma like this. But I'm like, Juanita, it's time to make a difference. It's time for our history to be put out there, their history, our history, besides what they want our children to learn. It's up to us, though. Not me, not Juanita, not a content creator, but you. Yes, Sam. the severe trauma. I can feel the pain in her voice. You can, Denise. You can hear it. Breaks my heart that these people did that to these kids. Most of these schools was ran by churches, and it was already set into plan. Who's this hard y'all right here?
It makes me yell loud like that.
The scene is a drowning child who, just shortly before, was flailing away with his head above water in a raging river. He can swim, but the river is swift and unrelenting. He slips under the surfaces, briefly trying to catch another life-saving breath, but he knows he's going under for good. What terror is wrought upon the child's mind, no one can imagine. Those thoughts will go down with him. The want to live is seen above, in the light on the surfaces of the river. As he slowly sinks, his hair is silky and wavy, his arms still ever moving so slowly and reaching for no purpose except that his will tells him to reach up. The lighted surface fades and his body has no more movement except that of the current. He tumbles lifelessly along the bottom and into oblivion. I left thinking that I'd come back one day and attack those people that attacked me. And they didn't just attack me, I think they attacked everybody. But I wrote a book called Dark Legacy, and ever since I wrote that book, I don't have this great desire to go back anymore and beat them up. I haven't forgiven them, but they're not around to forgive.
When I realized the effect that this type of government administration had on thousands of people in my time, it disgusts me that I'm a Canadian, and I always thought Canada was the greatest country in the world. And I'm ashamed to say I'm Canadian because of what my government has done. The government wanted access to mineral rights, mining, lumbering, fisheries, all natural resources that Canada has. And they all are on native land, of course. They were here first. So the government, I guess, determined that rather than go to war with the natives, they would eliminate them. And I know from my own experience, people that I've known, they were raised by whites in the residential schools. So when they were finished there, their parents didn't accept them because they weren't native. And the white community did not accept them because they were native. So these people, those 150,000 children, grew up in limbo with no roots, no background, and no place they could call home.
I knew ahead of time when I was going to leave. I went to school that day, and it was the last day of school in summer. Everything seemed brighter then. The grass seemed greener, the sky was bluer. And it it was just a great day.
You come home and they're like, you're a stranger. I'm a stranger to them, but they're a stranger to me too. So I had to go find who my relatives were. How was I connected to this community? I knew where I came from. I did know that, but I just didn't know how I fit in.
150,000 people, or children, were taken from their families. And as a result of that, 7 generations of Native people grew up with no roots.
Did y'all hear those numbers? 150,000. Seeing those children in the pictures with no smiles. Having to go see if you got family. If there's somebody out there that loved you, the questions that these children had, who, what, when, where, and why. Is there any family even left for most after all those years of bondage? They didn't ask for this. The government is sick, fighting for resources that we all can share. There's enough for everyone, all for so-called money and power and so-called respect. Hey, tell me, sister, sizzle alive. That's like 10 football fields filled or more. Lord have mercy. OMG, shaking my head.
This is my friend Carol Cucci, whom I've known for a few years, and appreciate her friendship and what kind of things she can tell us about her First Nations.
So, having my father, my aunt, and my uncles gone to residential school, my father never discussed his upbringing. He was silent. The home that we lived in was silent around who he was and how he was raised. So prior to the age of 30, I had no idea or no understanding of what had happened to my family. And I knew that there was something up, like there was something wrong, but I didn't know what that was. When I was finding all of these things about residential school when I was 30, and my father had already passed away, my mother was still alive, and I started asking my aunt questions. I began to realize how strange everything was. And it began to see what those schools did and what the effect that we had and why my brothers and I had struggled so much with our emotional life. This was wrong. To take children away from their parents and herd them into a school against their will. It just blew me away. And then when you had the courage to stand up and say that this was wrong and that you knew it was wrong when it happened, instead of standing up and said, I witnessed this and it didn't look that bad, I can't tell you what that does for people. I really can't. And I don't care what bad things you might have done in your life, Ron. I know it wasn't a whole lot because you're a good person. They were erased by that. They were completely erased by that. But what you don't hear about is what happens to adult people when their kids are ripped away. And those kids come back broken, but they come back broken to adults that are insane. And that's the other half. So nobody is okay.
It said by the 1980s, Indigenous people began to speak out publicly about their experience of abuse. Survivors launched a class action lawsuit against the government. As part of that case, the Canadian government launched the Truth in Reconciliation Commission in 2008. And y'all Google that. That was for them to not be able to tell the truth. It wouldn't, Rob. Mm-mm.
I'd like to thank and ask all of the survivors to stand up for a moment and be here with us. Survivors, please stand. The children and the grandchildren of survivors, please stand up as well. Things began to change when the survivors of the residential school experience went to court, beginning in the 1980s. But not really successful until the mid-1990s when the courts finally ruled that they could sue the government for the abuses that went on in the schools and the churches as well.
The root of the TRC is in survivors themselves. Survivors said, we demand attention and we demand recognition for what it is and was that we experienced in the residential schools.
I had a hearing problem. I was mocked. I was teased. I was picked on.
Sometimes I felt that I can't function. I was hurting so bad inside. But on the outside, especially for my children, I tried to be strong.
We were the recipient of their most private moments in their life often. And we, as listeners, had to be there for them because we weren't just representing the commission, we were actually representing the hearing of the entire country.
Well, as the commissioner for the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, listening to the stories of residents.
Those people are so strong going back to, I couldn't go back there. I don't think it's got tears in my eyes, y'all, because I don't think I could go back there. Just think about when you do ask your grandmother and your grandfather those stories. Or when you do your ancestry tree and it leads you to this school, then what? Where do you go from here? All the sexual trauma, all the abuse. All the tears. That wasn't happy tears for money. A lot of those children came out lost, no family. By the time they got released, their mothers and fathers, uncles, aunties was no longer here. So not only was they lost at that school, they was lost when they came out. Only for somebody to tell them to be quiet and not share this. So we share some of the same history. We seen them out there in the mud with torch forks, slaving. Just when I thought, just when you think you know. Yes, one of the nuns pushed a 7-year-old down the stairs. She broke her back and was unalived. Y'all gotta go back and read all the deaths that was inside the school by the hands of people under the cloth, nuns. That pretended to be a child of God. I can only imagine how their faith landed on deaths there. The more you read on this, the worse it gets. All those chairs in that room. To the survivors that told their story. Because how many of us got those grandparents that's 90 to 100 years old that can tell us about the history of what they endured? How many kids was they forced to get away, to give away? How many aunties and uncles do you really have? Great, great, great. That they never seen again. Talk to your elders. Like Denithia said, we have to do better. I can't be better if I don't do better. Absolutely, James. I never read about this in school. Shaking my head, untold story. Such as our history, correct, James? A lot of the African American history. When I seen that we had our own flag. Why anything about us is so disgraceful? Why have we not been able to enjoy the fruits of our labor? The fruits and abundance of our history? Why is it so crucial to let the world know that we was a rich people? We was a strong nation of people. How you came in and took our strength away from us because of our color. Chain shackles, nooses around the neck. Barely able to eat in a restaurant, still to this day. Emmett Till, and so many others, even after slavery, unalived. Martin Luther King, he made it, but y'all unalived him. It's a doctor out there right now that had to live with the fact that he smothered Dr. Martin Luther King. So the black man couldn't bring us together as a nation.
Residential school survivors was difficult, emotionally very challenging, but there's no doubt that when they cried, often we did as commissioners, we always made it a point to repeat back to the survivors what it was that they had told us, because we wanted them to know that we had heard them and that we believed them.
Before anything happened to me, I want to apologize to my family for what I put them through. I could tell my grandchildren, I could tell my great-grandchildren that I love them. But with my own children, I can't. It hurts. It hurts me to think about what I missed.
It was a very emotional time, because the more you got into it, the more things started to come up about residential school that you would start to remember. Then you'd listen to everybody, and it was a very, very difficult time. So I was involved right from when the lawsuit started.
So the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada was asked to assist the survivors to move from an era of being victims of the residential school experience to becoming involved in a process of establishing a better relationship with the government and with the churches. The story of the truth of residential schools in this country is a story about the resilience of children. They have supported me in this work, but at great loss to the relationships we could have had, and which we will now try to recapture.
Residential school survivors, we awaken Canada. This is not only about resilience. There's a whole lot of truth that has been shared. It's also about reconciliation.
And there's not going to be any truth and reconciliation in my time or in your time. It's going to take 2 or 3, 4 generations to work all this out, to get it in the history books and have it become commonplace that the guy next door knows what happened.
The future of Canada, will students be told that this is not an integral part of everything we are as a country, everything we are as Canadians. That is a promise we make right here, all of us together.
It was the closing ceremonies of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Had a 5-kilometer walk from Gatineau, Quebec to the City Hall in Ottawa. There was approximately 7,000 people participating. Many natives, many non-natives. There was different church groups, civic groups, and people just bringing their families out to participate and support the native communities.
By the time the commission's work ended, almost 7 years later, that we had established the credibility of the commission, not only in the eyes of survivors, but in the eyes of the country. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission has brought an image of Canada forward that now includes this history.
The National Center for Truth and Reconciliation was created by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in order to preserve all of the materials that were collected under the mandate of the TRC. But more than just preserving these materials, survivors right across the country have asked us to ensure that their statements and the other material that was collected finds their way into the hands of educators, into the hands of researchers. So we have a very important and critical role in continuing to expose the truth, ensure Canadians understand the truth of what's happened in this country, and further contribute to ongoing understanding, healing, and reconciliation in this country. Canadians no longer have an excuse, though, which I think is one of the most critical things about this process of truth and reconciliation. The I don't know or I didn't know really is no longer defensible.
I have a dream
a song to sing to help me cope with anything. If you see the wonder of a fairy tale, you can make your future.
I'm very hopeful. I'm still a bit scared as to what's happening and what could continue to happen. I want to see action. I want less talk and more action. So we all know that something is changing in terms of healing for the Native folk and for white and brown and yellow Canada.
Right behind Walker Stonebridge, we have a hitman dancer.
Everyone there is unique. They're expressing their culture and the good and genuine things about it. The color, the outfits, the dances, the songs.
When every residential school survivor is healed, I'll be healed. And that's how it would affect me. Until they're healed, I won't be. And I'll keep talking to anybody who will listen.
There's always hope. Without hope, we're done. You know, there always has to be hope. And when I look at my grandchildren, I think, yeah, there's a lot of hope. I see positive things for them.
Whew. That was interesting. It's one more. Give me a second, guys. It's one more I want to do. Shane, can you put this video on for me? Can you put this video on for me? It's another one I want to watch. I'm interested in. If y'all cool and somebody lift me, Jesus. When I watch stuff like this, I place myself and my family in their shoes because it's still freaking coming today. Yeah, it's sad. You need to see the one I want. Give me a second, guys. should be right there. Yep.
Brown had a little Indian.
Okay, got it. Thank you much. I needed some help, guys. Sorry about that. Hey, Will Illy, salute. Salute, Will. Let me see what y'all said. I had to get that video. Salute to Shank Rock for helping me. Okay, I need a church song now. When I watch stuff like this, I place myself and my family in their shoes because it's still freaking common today and can easily be my loved one. So sad. This was draining. Oh, are y'all drained? This history hit my spirit with the resilience in people and how they can still talk about. Reminds me we are some strong people. Facts, I'm about to put a little gospel in, but this is the stuff we need to know because we still being snatched. Trust me, if America could hide slavery, saying it didn't happen, they absolutely. Well, I got one more video. If y'all down to ride, let me know. Or whatever. If it's just too much, I get it for the night. I can always save it for tomorrow. So let me know in the chat. We good and we ready. Okay. This is St. Anne's Indian Residential School, Fort Albany, First Nation, Ontario, Canada. Operated by the Roman Catholic. If torturing us was not enough, it's how they packed us like sardines against our will and brought us here, traveling weeks in bile and feces. If you have the stomach for it, visit the Wax Museum. Always, James. I'm ready to roll. Let's go. I'm enjoying this. It's sad but necessary to not have about an hour before Bible study. Okay. 150,000 kids were snatched and held hostage for years at a school and couldn't speak on it. They were abused. Thank you, Miss Sean B. Thank you, Sister Marada. Thank you, Juanita. And for those that's coming in and wants to know, so we can stay on topic, if y'all can catch the replay. You can take it back and try to get caught up with us and stuff like that and things. So yes, thank you, sister. Thank you. All right, guys, let's go and let's see what else. Because once you do a story like this, you have to talk about a little bit more to give a little bit more insight on what happened. Because I don't know. So me watching that, you guys, was the first time with you guys. Everything, most times, 99.9%, I watch everything with you guys. I never watch it before. And it feels good. So we can all be on the same level and share our thoughts together. And yeah. Thank you, Rod. Thank you, sister.
John Brown had a little Indian. John Brown had a little Indian. John Brown had a little Indian. One little Indian boy. One little, two little, three little Indians. Four little, five little, six little Indians. Seven little, eight little, nine little Indians. 10 little Indian boys.
The Lord God is your father now. Your human father has nothing more to offer you.
It was called St. Anne's, funded by the government and for decades administered by the Catholic orders of the Oblates and the Grey Nuns. Generations of children from remote James Bay communities were forced to attend the school. Running away was not uncommon.
I received 3 CD-ROMs of these documents in a brown paper envelope that was slid across a food court table at an Ottawa mall. And I didn't know what was actually in there until I got back and I put it into my laptop and I realized that these were the OPP documents from the investigations into St. Anne's.
Barrera had covered the survivors' court fight to get the documents, but even he had no idea of the darkness they contained.
Every single page almost in these documents was just an itemization of abuse and torture alleged by the people the OPP interviewed. And it was incredible. There's no respite from the darkness until you close it at the end.
What the documents confirm is what St. Anne survivors had claimed and been told there was no evidence to prove. That electric chair, it existed. There's even a diagram.
So this one has vomit.
The forced eating of vomit, there were dozens of accounts. Physical abuse was common at the school. A one-time principal, who later became bishop, was reported to have beaten a student unconscious with a whip. And then there was the sexual abuse that the government's official summary of St. Anne's concluded had never happened. According to the police documents, it was rampant. Children sexually assaulted by nuns, by priests, by school employees, and sometimes by each other.
Yeah, raw electric chair. Welcome, brand new. Pebbles, welcome. Did y'all see this? One at a time, they would wrap it tight around their throats and pull it tight. The children said they called it getting high because where they would get so dizzy where they wrapped the towels around their neck so tight. She said this shouldn't have happened to us. They're God's workers. They were supposed to look after us.
When I learned that there were thousands of pages of police testimony and documents and evidence and the naming of the perpetrators that had gone on to reveal, this house of horrors, you expect as a Canadian that justice will be done. And then it never was done. And then when you see the process that's supposed to be in place for compensation and reconciliation, you think, man, it's a slam dunk for the survivors of St. Anne's. This should be a pretty straightforward process. And it wasn't.
My name is Edmund Tatawabin, and I'm from Fort Albany First Nation.
I went to St. Anne's residential school. I entered when I was 6, and I was there for 8 years, from 1956 to 1963. I remember the few days before entering the school, because there's a lot of whispering, and my mother was not in a very happy state. She was crying a lot. And finally, I put on my best outfit and my best jacket, and I was taken outside. And my father said, "Okay, let's go. Hasta luego." We learned to expect some form of assault from the caretakers. There was an electric chair that was used for fun. Later was taken to the girls' dormitory for disciplinary purposes. When it was for fun, we were placed in the chairs, and we couldn't even touch the floor. And current was applied. Our body went spastic, and everybody was laughing. The visitors were laughing. It was entertainment.
Look at this picture, y'all. Wow. Wow. Yeah, 7 out of 74. Yeah, wow. Wow, this picture just speaks volumes. Our people endured the same thing. It just wasn't people in cloaks of the Lord with crosses dangling from their neck. It was just angry white men. But this hits different, because this is what happened. Unaliving of a father who didn't want to give his baby up. Mm.
When the sun goes down, then that's when visitors that are not supposed to be visiting the school arrive. On their part, it was behavior that was okay. If the bishop was doing it, the staff was okay for the staff to do it. And we were the children that were helpless to do anything about it, because there was nobody there to help. So those are part of normal activities for them, and they didn't seem to feel guilty about it. And so, sexual abuse, yes, a lot of that stuff by different people on children. And children are very young, girls and boys. One girl we know that was within our age group, she got pregnant from the bishop.
Mm. James said, in my opinion, the reason Canada won't let them speak because of lawsuits, pain and suffering, trauma. We're talking millions and millions of money. This reminds me of a trail of tears when the white men took the babies from their mothers.
The very first year when I went in, like I didn't know anybody there. Everything was scary for me because I had never seen the nuns the way they dressed before. And all of a sudden, there's those people.
There was nowhere to go. So you kept silent and you dealt with this on your own. And you're dealing with these issues as a child. So you develop your own techniques to deal with it.
In 2008, Canada's historic apology to residential school survivors came with a promise. In return for not suing the government, former students who could prove abuse would be compensated. The government would prepare a summary of what was known to have happened at each school. Adjudicators would decide what each claim was worth.
Did y'all see that sick stuff? Did y'all just see the... Let me take it back for y'all so y'all can see. They had a point scale for abuse. If it was vaginal, 46 points. If it was this, it was 50. Let me let y'all see this scale again.
In 2008, Canada's historic apology to residential school survivors came with a promise. In return for not suing the government, former students who could prove abuse would be compensated. The government would prepare a summary of what would...
For those that didn't want to sue, look at that. Incidents of anal and vaginal penetration with an object, 46 to 60 points. Incidents of anal or vaginal intercourse or oral intercourse, vaginal penetration with an object, 36 to 44 points. This is how they scaled their trauma. A promise that they made to these people if they didn't sue. We'll go by your points. Well, did you get anal? Did you, we need you. Imagine being in a school where you witnessed so much. Not just the sexual assault, the deaths, the abuse, the intercourse, the abortions. And it's a point scale for compensation points. Are they okay? If being a survivor wasn't worse, your trauma's based off of compensation points. When we are watching this live and we are sick to our stomachs, we are disturbed. I just want to see if you guys, wow.
was known to have happened at each school. Adjudicators would decide what each claim was worth.
I thought I was going to be with my sister. My sister was with me, my oldest sister. And as soon as we get into the room, my sister was pulled away from me, tried to hang on to her, and I was crying, didn't know what to think. My name is Angela Shishish. The first year I went to school was in 1952, going on 53. We were transported in a barge, a little barge, from Arwapskat to Fort Albany. At that time, I got really scared, not knowing what happened, what will happen, what I'm gonna be meeting. All I wanted was my parents to be with me.
Is that not scary or no, y'all? I mean, this looks so demonic, it gives me chills. Jeez.
We are made to feel like we're criminals or the ones that are at fault. Well, we didn't do this. The government did this to us. My name is Evelyn Korkmas. I come from the community of Fort Albany, where St. Anne's Residential School was. And I went to school there from 1969 to 1972. In my IAP claim, I'm a student on student abuse. I was not abused by any employer or employee of the school. I was abused by students, and this happened for the 4 years I was there. I grew up very resentful of my people because of the harms that they had done to me. And it wasn't until the residential school issue came out that I started to understand why I was abused. And I learned later it was because they were abused. So they continued the abuse.
You want us to take the tape down there, Greg? Yeah, we can do that shortly.
This is the Ontario provincial police officer who heard the stories first. In 1992, Greg Delgadese was just starting his policing career. He would come to know the St. Anne's community well. His investigation lasted 7 years. What kinds of things were you hearing?
Physical and sexual abuse that was taking place on students from staff at the school, some religious personnel, some civilian staff at the school. There were also allegations of physical and sexual abuse on children by other children.
Widespread?
It was widespread, and it was systematic, and it was out of control.
I remember we used to go in another building to go and take our breakfast. I didn't want to eat the porridge because it was too thick, didn't taste right. And the other girl that I saw, she got sick. Same thing happened to me. One of the helper, the big girls, was the one pulling my hair, and then was standing beside her, grabbed a spoon and fed me my vomit. Couldn't swallow it at first. Couldn't swallow it.
Of all the offenders, one of the worst was a priest who was at the school for nearly 4 decades, Father Arthur Lavoie. Which one is he?
This one in the middle.
What do you know about him?
Always hung around with the girls and boys, and always he would start touching you here, and then his hands would fall down and touching you. He was always touching you.
For many, it went a lot further than that. Lavoie groomed his victims, told them the sex he forced on them would ensure their place in heaven. The OPP recorded 313 complaints against Lavoie. He died before he could be charged.
And I think you're taking it another way. Mm, 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 mm. Pam said I took my youngest grandson out of a private Christian school. Okay. I'll make sure that's Thursday. I go late, pretty late. This has been crazy. This has been interesting. And I don't want to stop there. I don't wanna this is I'm very disgusted and disturbed, guys, to say the least. But I think we need to do this every other day. Every other day, if not every day. The kids looked exhausted. They did. James, I said it, a kid wasn't. You could see the pain and the trauma in a lot of them. And it runs deeper than that, y'all. It runs this story, and this is a separate school. This isn't the same school we seen at first. But I like what Zilla said, how it shows you how demonic humans can be. When we hear the stories of those churches, ain't it always the Catholic Church? Do your research and leave a comment outside this video with the Catholic Church. Thank you, Denithia. It's hard looking at the Tanya. I'm telling you, I got a little spooked and shook. I was up here with chills and I think the nuns creeped me out. I think going inside that school and you could feel it just walking through. We wasn't even there when it happened. But just walking through that school with them and it's just like, it gave you the creeps. Mostly Catholic. They didn't have cameras. Not Regina, yeah. It was creepy. And sometimes, when you hear the music, it makes you feel the pain and everything that happened in there. Sometimes music makes you understand the dynamic of what you're watching. Any movie, when you're watching a scary movie. But with this, in the faces, in those pictures, you felt it. You felt it. And you felt it. And you felt it again. It was like, all those men graping the boys, ripping their insides to shreds, giving them homemade abortions. Hey, Milestone. But it definitely got to be awareness, and it starts here. It might not make it to the mainstream, but it will make it here with us. Thank you, James. Even going down our history. See, it don't just stop with them. It started with us and them. And they did a scale for these people of their trauma and their pain. Not all blue people, but it shows you just how much we meant to them. You don't hear that too much about the blue people. We don't see stories like this. In the Catholic Church, yeah. I always had feelings about those Catholic schools and churches. Because when I was growing up, I heard a lot of abuse took place there, but I never imagined to this extent. I'm thinking about those unmarked graves. Yeah. James. Man, say, James, look. Please sure get this message out. That's not the words that I want to use, but those buildings don't need to still be standing. But they do, Regina. You know why? To remind them of the demonic shit that is happening, the government. You heard what he said? He thought the country was so great. He thought it was one of the greatest countries. As a reminder to those communities, absolutely. Because then history would just vanish. Again. And again. And again. Like ours. Where's our historic buildings, Regina? Do you see any? They turn them down so our history can be erased. This is how I feel when I walk through the Ag Museum. You feel and hear all your ancestors and beneath you. The physical and emotional pain they had to go through makes my stomach hurt. People have strayed so far away from God. Children are so pure and innocent. Why? And these was kids. The illustrations alone are cringeworthy. But think about it. Look at their stories and then compare ours. Walking hundreds and hundreds of miles shackled, raped, sexually assaulted. But see, we had to have the babies. Our young had to have the babies. Sold. Ripped out of your arms. Sold. Never got the hug, love. So yeah, history definitely needs to be talked about. It's a lot of knowledge out there that I don't know. But I'm willing to find out and share it with y'all and talk about it. Their story worse than mine, but I feel their pain. I seen inside Catholic, the statues immediately left. I meant to say the school my grandson started didn't have cameras. It's hard to break these generational curses. We still have to deal with generations. Yeah, we do. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much for pulling up. Yes, they covered our history with water, like Lake Lanier, etc. Let me look that up too. If you have anything you would like to share with me, my email has been dropped in the chat. Thank you, Zilla, for being here, sister. Thank you guys so much. Thanks to the subs that wanted me to talk about this. This is y'all. Y'all do this. I just put it on the screen for y'all. But really, hands and flowers to each one of y'all for being here, for wanting me to talk about this kind of thing and share it with each other in dialogue and stuff. Enough people won't do it. This is conversations I like to have too. I'm into science. I'm into all kind of stuff. Really. So thanks to each one of this is what we need to know. Yeah. So yes, every other day. Yeah. I'm gonna look into the fall of Cabal and then some other stuff. So thank you, Sister Kim. That's why a lot of parents have to investigate these private schools and places they send children to. Hey, La, good evening. La, you're late. You're late. Math and science, yeah. It's a lot of stuff we need to know about out there. Why y'all think Elon Musk is, before I end it, why do y'all think Elon Musk is so eager to want to get in the White House and touch on things? He's been in space. Y'all think he's just talking about going to Mars? They've been there. They've been building. They've been doing a lot of stuff on Mars. Do some of the studies. Do some of the studies about the time travel, the men that didn't have family to go to, that lost legs and arms in war. What did they do to them? Do that. I need a drink after this. Okay, no cap. He said I was knocked. It's okay. Now he not let you early. But yeah, it's a lot of stuff going on that we have to wake up to. Y'all think In Time, remember that movie with Justin Timberlake? Every movie has a message. You just really have to pay attention to it. They cloned Tyrone. It's messages. Y'all notice how Jamie Foxx got sick right after? It's messages. The food we eat. It's all kind of stuff going on, but we're not woke. A lot of us say we are, but then it's like, boom, we find out something just when we thought we knew. Beneath it says secrets. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've been up on Mars, building. Y'all notice they quit talking about the bunkers. They've been stopped talking about the bunkers. You used to hear about the bunkers all the time. It's gonna be so much. It's almost gonna be inhabitable to live here. It's gonna be so much poison in there. We think it's the weather why the trees don't bloom the way they used to. Oh, we had a bad winter. Yeah, we just had a bad winter. They frosted them trees up. Snow not melting no more. 70 degrees outside with sun, with snow, a pile of snow on the ground. Yeah, exactly, Latif. Mm-hmm. Y'all wonder why the snow's not melting anymore. Why? Where's the water when it melts? The Philadelphia experience. Oh yeah, the Philadelphia experience. I know about that one for sure. Yeah. See, I like to get up with science. That's why I'm behind in history. Really, I gotta get caught up in my history, but science. Child. Tell Juanita. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot. No. He ain't trying to get in there for nothing though. What does Elon Musk got to provide to the White House? What does he want? Why does he want our socials? Why does he want to know about us? People he don't know. Another meeting. Cloning. So much. It's so much. It's so much we need to know, and there's so much we got to wake up on. That's what he does. His mom wonders all day. Y'all wouldn't even believe me if I told y'all that it's a factory with babies. Thousands and thousands of babies that they produce in incubators where you can go and pick out your color of your baby's eyes, their hair, their skin tone. I was like, what? Doing my little science research, trying to stay away from the portals, but just being honest. It's time to wake up, pay attention. They say I bought California to Musk. Elon very getting ready to. about the so-called casket liners they found over in Madison, Georgia, like 30 minutes away from me? What's the casket liners, Natasha? When you got that much money and power, it's scary. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Emerald mining in Africa is how Elon Musk family. Absolutely. This AI is really creepy. I seen that how you build a baby like a build-a-bear. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did. I said I'm staying away from the portals. Yeah, I'm staying away from the portals. But yeah, they got a factory, and then they're even trying to get it where the inmates that commit murder, pedophiles, they're working on a brain stimulation machine to where it makes them normal, and um, it takes all that away. But when the brain machine stops working, what happens? What if it backfires? What happens with these murders and pedophiles that y'all doing these experiences on? And y'all know it's like the people in the war. We'll reduce your sentence if you let us do this experience on you, this experiment on you. Do y'all research, and there's so much going on. Whistleblowers are real. But see, we have been brainwashed for so long. That they're lying. It's called conspiracy theories. Was it conspiracy when Cat Williams said that Diddy and then was having them parties years ago when he did a comedy show? And now everybody is acting shocked. Oh my God, Diddy did what? I was never shocked. I believed Cat Williams when he said it. When they talk about the higher ups in the industry. Mm-hmm. It's all kind of stuff going on. Selling their soul to the devil. You see their loved ones dying, and all of a sudden you see them blow up. They become so famous, you're like, damn, what happened overnight? Hugh Hefner in the dungeon, the tunnels, all the young girls, the blondes, the brunettes, all the parties. Yeah. Trump in the pictures with what you call it. Yeah. You was in all the pictures with what you call it. Correct? Yeah, yeah. Y'all was going over to that island. Yeah. Remember those words, MAGA, make America the strongest economy. Mm-hmm. To where Elon's got Donald Trump talking about taking electricity. How does that work? How does he want to power the world? Why are we letting him play God? We are going to see a destruction that we never thought we would see for most of us. Mm-hmm. It's slavery. Mm. No cap. Okay. I believe it. I believe it. Liners are supposed to hold 7 unalive bodies for depopulation. Mm-hmm. And population control. Nobody believes that. Everybody believes that 9/11 was them. It wasn't. It was us. It was them. No. Osama bin Laden told us. He said, that's not my work. That's y'all. You know one thing about them, if y'all ever seen when they do a terrorist attack or when something happened in America, they celebrate their accomplishments. Go back and do your research. Anything happened in that country, They celebrate their accomplishments. What made them angry is that we were lying on them. We were very much so lying on them. And we're still doing things. Y'all didn't see where Trump signed this so-to-so to Putin, and look at Putin over there. They into it now. The Ukrainian president, they just accused him of blowing up Putin's car. But who's woke? See, nobody's into politics, but politics matter because it affects us. Before one day some shit happened, a bomb explodes over here in America, what everybody gonna be scambling like roaches? Mm-hmm. I always say I might take something to hit us at our front door to wake our asses up, like COVID. If y'all was watching and was woke to politicians, they was quiet when I seen it happening before it did. Seen them Chinese people getting sick. I told my mother before she passed away, something bad happened. We're going to go to the store. And when I go to Kentucky, I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to cam up and show y'all the dust all over my shit up there. I have bottles and bottles of sanitizer. I gave my kids an emergency rundown. If anything happens, come here. It's flashlights and batteries, it's candles up there. Toilet paper, be mindful. Y'all have to share. Paper towel. Don't throw away dirty underclothes. Put them in a backpack. Everybody have a tote bag. Old clothes, old socks. Put it in the bag. And this is where we all meet up. Yeah. The pandemic. That's what it was. If America was to go to war, the U.S. will be attacked within because of the border being open. Absolutely. The government is our worst enemy. Absolutely. People that are sleeping on politics better get woke. COVID was an experiment. They got out of control. Mm-hmm. Where did the drones go? LA fires. Oh, wait. Okay, Zen. How was the West Coast on fire? Y'all remember the book of Revelations? If you read it, it's metaphorically. People read the Bible as if it's happening like that. Those are metaphors in the Bible. The West Coast was on fire as the East Coast was under snow. Places that never got it. The ocean frozen. The beach full of snow, not sand. All highways shut down on the East Coast while all the land is burning out west. I just never thought I'd live to see it. I think they're trying to eliminate all of us so the billionaires can take over. You see Trump and trying to be over Greenland. They don't let us create those type of weapons because we're using them on each other instead of protecting our country and sticking together. Gina, that's always been the plan. That's always been a plan. Drones coming out of the ocean. Or is it drones? Me and Lateef talked about this a while back. Y'all Google Antarctica. And I'm not going to talk about port. I'm not going deep. It's a treaty. It's a peace treaty that on that you can't go over that wall of Antarctica. Ask yourself, it's full of ice. What's out there? What is out there on a continent full of ice? Oh wait. Why we can't go over an ice wall? What is it? Ain't no reason why fire in Canada had my sky on. It came all the way down here. That fire came all the way to North Carolina. I've never seen anything like it. I told Shankrock, I said, Shankrock, look at the sky. It hit Michigan. It hit Washington, D.C. It hit Baltimore. It hit all down through her. The sky was orange. It was crazy. And in my whole, I think I was 46 at the time, never seen anything like it. Ever. Hey, adjusted 18. That was horrible. They are purging us and we are doing it to one another, so we're helping the agenda. Yeah. Good night, Nene. Good night, love. You too. She said MVA too. Absolutely, Kimberly. Smelled the like burnt rubber. The sky was orange. Global warming. It's been global warming. Hell, all of us think about it, Denise. Hell, we're all on computers and phones all at the same time. Tablets. Everything's running in our house. You got 5 kids. You got game systems running, cell phones, TVs. Why do y'all think the Quakers live off the land? The Mormons, they live off the land. Thank you, Nene. Thank you. Thank you for that gifted membership. They live off the land. They use oil for their lamps. They still ride in horse and carriages. If you live in some towns, you'll still see them come in town on their horse and carriages. They make their own clothes. While people laugh at those hats and those dresses they wear. But they are rich off the land beyond measures. They teach their young to build. At 5, you see them little boys going up a ladder with them nails and that belt. That's poison lie. I live in New Jersey. The whole sky turned orange, something out of a movie. I told you to reach down here, James. We had hell last week. That was the size of kumquats. Literally, wow. The Amish. Absolutely. The Quakers and the Amish, they live off the land. What about the flooding in North Carolina? What was there? Yeah, y'all go Google that, matter of fact. Before I end this, go Google that hurricane that never hit in the water. You will see nothing but a river at the bottom, and then it rose so high to where it was going past people's windows. And I was like, oh my God. Once it was land and houses and farms, to you wake up and it's like as if nothing was ever there. Whole towns wiped out overnight. AI fashion models. They don't have electronics either. Lie now, how about it snowed in places that never got snow? Hundreds of bodies. Thought I was the only one. I drove to Pennsylvania and seen Amish land. It's real. I told my boyfriend, let's get the hell on. Remind you of that Children of the Corn movie, don't it, Adjusted? But they're going to survive. Over the walls, another civilization. Denise, absolutely. You just said it, I ain't even going to get into it no more. But another civilization. And they had a peace treaty with them. Nobody believes it, but they had a peace treaty with them. And that's why it's the land is sacred in Antarctica. Just that simple. Yeah, tell him to do that. Hey, Chin, he wants you to lie to you. What's that? We need to learn from the Amish. Yeah, high cornfields and they burn candles at night. Absolutely. I ain't got a light bill. You hear me? I ain't got a light bill. They go out there to the well and fetch their water. The wives and the daughters sew the clothes. They sew early. They build their own houses. Yeah. Taught my kids how to cook that canned meat, boil water using a can. I live around the Amish in Pennsylvania. Look up Fashion Model McCullough. She does interviews and everything. Her name is Michaela. Oh yeah. I don't know. I don't have any energy, guys. I'm ready to get out of here. Let's not talk about the radiation, 5G. Miss Parker, I need mine gone on shirt ASAP so I can get the hell away. Okay, I got you. I gotta get orders in. I got so many people hit me up about them. I gotta research why there's more pyramids in America than any other places in the world. It's a lot of homework that needs to be done, Latif, for real. It's like, who's gonna do it? Who's really gonna do the homework and come back and dialogue about it and really dialogue about it? Not, oh my God, another channel, another conspiracy. No, it's just what's real. Right, sis Kimberly Scott, these are the Bible days, the book of Revelation to be exact, if you know how to break it down. I swear I didn't think I was gonna live to see it. I didn't want to. When I was young, my mom would talk, we do Bible study, but I ain't never thinking to that. I was like, dang, sorry, phone stuck. It's cool. Didn't they say food shortages, Kimberly, in the Bible? Didn't it say in the Bible that you wouldn't know the seasons and the days? Do we? My trees haven't even bloomed yet. And usually our trees in the front yard, they bloom like the middle of March. Like like getting toward the last couple weeks of March. What did they find in the Grand Canyon? What was it? What was it, bunkers? What's Area 51? What's Area 51? Nobody's ever thought about like what's in the middle of the desert? Where ain't shit out there? Why? That's their station. That is for artificial intelligence. That's their station. Shortage of baby phone. Then let's not talk about nickels. Crack change. What? Out of pennies and shit. Like, wait, what? Since when? Juanita said she's seen some things. I bet you have. No formula breastfeed your child. But what if you're sick? What if you smoke? When did we ever ran out of formula? When I was young, we didn't hear about bird flu, mad cow disease, none of that. Absolutely. Matter of fact, let me let y'all hear something that Gordon Ramsay, and I know I ate it. Well, Shank Rock for his birthday, he ate at Gordon Ramsay's restaurant, one of them in the Caesar's Palace. But this is what Gordon Ramsay, and this is what she said. Let me play it. I meant to play it on my news clip, but we got so into other stuff. And then I'm getting out of here for the night. I'm resting. I'm tired. And then Darnell's got court tomorrow, so I might as well do all of that tomorrow. But let me play this clip. Excuse me. Yeah, I got to wear my glasses. And Sagittarius had asked me to talk about school. It's crazy. Let me tell y'all about these people that set you up out there in this industry. Oh, let me let you guys hear this. Let me let you guys hear the weirdest, most messed up shit. And I said, people better wake up because this shit's happening. We wonder where the kids is going. Listen to this.
Eat Sam? Yes. There was a victim named Sam. He was 8 years old from Chicago, or at least that's what my parents told me. most traumatic night of my life. Like, my mom and dad were like, he's your new brother. We had dinner with him. They called it the Last Supper, and afterwards, like, sacrificed him. So it was my turn when I was 5, almost 6, to solely sacrifice a child, and it was Sam, the 8-year-old. We just had dinner with him. I love Sam. I'll never stop loving Sam, and I'll never betray Sam. I think that he's a big reason why I'm here today recovering, because it was such a traumatic memory that I've held on. But during that ritual, we had dinner with Sam, and I thought he was my new brother, and I was so excited because I'm like, this brother, this 8-year-old's going to save my broken family. And after the ritual, things changed pretty quick. Roles in my family changed throughout the years. For example, my older sister started to graduate towards the cleanup role, which was my father's role. So during the exact ritual itself, my older sister wasn't there. I remember me on the right, my younger sister on the left. My mom was behind me, and she gave me a knife in my right hand, and she told me to do it to Sam. I couldn't, and I thought either something really bad would happen to me or Sam would get let go. So there was a lot of communication in this ritual. My mom was saying, you have to do it, you have to do it. And like I said, she always had this sense of urgency. She was just getting so mad at me. And I thought she would take my hand and make me do it myself. And that's not what happened. She gave it to somebody else who looked very disassociated and did it themselves.
Did your mom force you to eat Sam?
Yes. That was my consequence for not sacrificing Sam. And it wasn't the first time I was fed human flesh.
Shall we go deeper? I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to find this clip. And I'm getting out of here for the night. Sacrificing. Imagine you thinking your mom and them bringing a child in the house. This is your brother. And she's thinking, hey, Rosie. And she's thinking like, he's going to fix this baby. He's going to fix this family. They brought a boy in the home. This is going to be our new brother. He is going to fix this family. And only for, no. And her consequence was, since you didn't do it, you have to eat Sam. And how disoriented her sister was to do it. Did I get it? Let me see. I thought I had it. Maybe I didn't. Oh, here we go.
Getting ready to go home, but I wanted to tell you guys about this strange flight that I had yesterday. The strangest flight I've ever had. So on this flight, Gordon Ramsay was on the flight, and if you don't know who he is, that's the famous chef. And there were a few things that was strange about this flight. For one, it almost was a ferry flight. It almost seemed like it was a ferry flight because nobody was on the flight but Gordon Ramsay, which is fine because that means less work for us. You know what I mean? One, we didn't even know where we were flying to. Usually we know where they're going to take us to. We just know that we landed somewhere in Nevada. Because it didn't even seem like it was a normal airport. It was like in the desert. When we landed, a group of men in black suits came and escorted him off the plane. So we like to be nosy. We want to see what's going on. They didn't let us off the plane. Okay. I looked to my right, and I noticed that Gordon Ramsay, he left something on his chair. This tiny pan. This incy-wincy pan. What am I going to cook with this? This is not for a human. I don't know. But if you know who Gordon Ramsay is, you should keep an eye on him because obviously he's cooking something up.
She said, that's the flight attendant. And she didn't know why they was going to Area 51 with Gordon Ramsay. Men came out in black suits. They wouldn't even let them know where they, like, you know what I'm saying, get off. Because, you know, usually the flight attendants get to get off at every stop. Not this trip. Mm-hmm. Y'all think that her talking about eating Sam was the first time those kind of stories have ever came up? Selling babies, black marketing, human sacrificial things happen. Good night, Allison. Okay, Juanita. But I don't know. We can get into more of this and stuff like that. History anyway. I want to get into history, but at the same time, I do want to get into Elon Musk. It's some stuff I want y'all to check out. Go check it out while y'all got time. Okay, Denithia, have a good night. Go check out a lot of stuff. Do your own research. Never let cannibalism. Absolutely. Denise, absolutely. Go do your research on a lot of stuff we talked about tonight. Do your research on the school in Canada. Do your research on our flag, the African American flag, and why they took it from us, why they stripped it and never let us know we had our own flag. Mexico has their own flag, the United States, but we got an African American flag. Slavery, do your real research. Not what was brainwashed into us, but the real stories. The real struggles of Rosa Parks on the back of the bus. Malcolm X and his real speeches, not what we want to hear, what we needed to hear. I want Elon's helmet. I own his stock. Wow. Some of these things get scrubbed. Latif, you don't think a lot of it gets scrubbed. That's why we don't know. They want us to know about the peanut and all of that. It's all good. But no, we want to know the history. Mm-hmm. We want to know the history. We want to know why now do y'all own the peanut when y'all didn't invent the peanut? Why do y'all take over everything that somebody black has created or touched? Mm-hmm. Kimberly is coming. We don't know the weather from the weather. Don't it say that in the Bible, Kimberly? Do y'all know sometimes you go out there and you got your shorts on, you think, okay, it's spring. Only to go out there and you need a winter coat the next day, and it's like, wait, what? Then the next day it's a tornado outside. You're like, wait, what? Then the next day it's 80 degrees. Wait, what? It's flu and it's taking lives. What? Monkeypox. What? Measles back. What? These are things we heard of as a kid. Measles, mumps, and rubella. We got shots, never heard it. We don't have chickenpox anymore. We got monkeypox. What? What's going on? What y'all got going on? Where a mosquito bites you now, it might unalive you. Tell me when you didn't used to go to bed in the summer as a kid with lumps and bumps everywhere. Put your alcohol on it. Wake up and do it all over again. Some of the mosquito bumps would stay there for a long time. I'm laying it down for the night. Good night, Miss Parker. LOL. That's the okay, Nene. Good night. Things a lot of people don't get vaxxed for. But adjusted, when I was coming up, you didn't hear about measles and mumps. Even a couple years ago, you didn't hear about measles. It's crazy that Elon is over there fighting with Trump when Elon has a transgender daughter who is speaking out. She's speaking out loud. He said she was dead. How Elon's father married his wife's daughter, got her pregnant. No, but they made us get them shots. Mm-hmm. Hey, Detroit's finest, monkeypox. The hell's a monkeypox? You see them big on out some people, you like, hell nah, I ain't going outside for shit. Y'all see how big the monkeypox? I ain't going outside for shit. I don't give a damn what they talking about. I ain't going outside for shit. Now measles. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I heard about the 90s. Mining in South Africa, many died dangerous job. Yeah, Denise. Kimberly Ecclesiastes, yeah. Then remember in New York, the cicadas? During the day, people couldn't even walk outside. People had to wear covered nets and shit. I was like, what the? It was like a plague going on. We went from the fire in Canada reaching all the way down here to the cicadas, and I never seen them. We know that we would hear them in the tree. But to fly around with a, y'all go back and look at the news. It was on the news. I said, what? Wait a minute. I'm watching the news scared. Because I know any minute God's going to open up the sky and it's going to be the end of the world. And I just didn't know how to handle it because I lost my faith. Not being prepared. My crown, you from New York. That monkeypox had me looking side-eyed. The Bible had locusts. We have mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Biblical. Mm-hmm. They do have weather make it. Y'all ain't watch China make their son on the news? And I said, wait. I ain't going. What we doing? Y'all didn't see the whole city in the clouds? And they try to say, oh, that's from, y'all's a damn lie. Y'all's a fuck lie. That's not from oils. No. My 47 years of living, I ain't never seen the clouds make a whole city. And when I seen it, I was spooked. Google it. The city in the sky. It's on the news. It made the news. A few years ago. It made a whole city of buildings, and you could make out the skyscrapers and everything. I said, wait, and they tried to say it was something. No. Now we made shit out of clouds. That could be a dolphin. It look like a dolphin. Not a city. Mm-hmm. Kimberly, you're right. testimonies was the information. What's that? Where the information I ever heard about a cure for that? No, we can't travel to Mexico because them were immigrant man-made clouds and storms. Look it up for the pandemic. By City Island in the Bronx, man. Those locals used to scare me in Kentucky. Natasha. But y'all Google it, Latif. What was that? Do you remember when was that fire? And not last year. That fire was it the year before? No, because mom passed. Yeah. The fire was the year before. I don't know, Tanya, but go look it up. Y'all Google it. Magic has the cure. Man, those earthquakes. Did y'all just see over there in Thailand? It's earthquakes happening over there now. She said yes in 23. Those locusts up in New York. I mean, the people couldn't even walk, y'all. I just never seen it like that. I was like, whoa, what's happening? A scientist discovered it, and they were going to some seminar to talk about it, and the place crashed. Wow. Look, Kimberly said, in the name of Jesus, I rebuke y'all all in these conversations. Okay, he said yes 2 years ago. Okay, 2 years ago, guys. 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Dr. Sebi gave us a cure. Come on, look at Dr. Sebi. Look at Dr. Sebi and Nipsey. Everybody think the big U just said, what was set in stone? Nipsey was ready to put out the cure for HIV and some more. Dr. Sebi came up with a cure. Ain't that crazy? A man that can come up with a cure for HIV, he just all of a sudden a healthy man. He's gone. Come on. Why I think they making shit? Why I think they making shit? But if you get a lemon, ginger, a red onion, lemon, ginger, red onion, and it's something else, and you boil it on the stove and drink it. Plain type of, they don't allow that man, he was educated. Absolutely, Zilla. Facts, pharmaceutical companies, but I went. Burdock root, Dr. Sim, CMOC, cayenne pepper, yeah. Y'all notice that if y'all look at y'all medicines, for one thing, when I was taking my tamoxifen for my breast cancer, as the doctor's reading the tamoxifen side effects, and I said, so you want to cure my breast cancer, but I can get ovarian cancer and another cancer from taking the medicine. Somebody make that make sense. Upset stomach, diarrhea, nausea. When's the last time you seen a Mexican with cancer? Let's talk about it. That was Big Pharma. Yep, Pam. Yep. I appreciate each and every one of y'all coming out with me tonight. I'm going to sleep. Well, actually, I'm going to do some research on some stuff we've been talking about. I'm going to do some research. The side effects will take you out. I'm here for this right here. But y'all agree to give me 15 other things in one pill. I wasn't going. I was like, nah, I need something herbalistic. Mm-hmm. Yep. You're right, Latif. Take one medicine to stop side effects for another. Mm. Chemotherapy had me sick. My quality of life was zero. It killed everything. Yep. They did me like that too with my renal cell cancer. Miss Parker took partial of my kidney, and I haven't been healthy since. Come on, Juanita, I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you. That's what they do. Mm. Yeah, I'm 90s. I take Lyrica for my leg, and if I stop, the side effects are worse for the pain. Mm-hmm. I bet it is, Alicia. I guarantee you, I bet it is. I guarantee you, I know it is. I was like, I ain't going. I don't give a damn. Just that simple. Salute to y'all again. Thank you, my riders. Pull back up with me tomorrow. I got a live set up for 7 for Birmingham music. I want to have his story at 7 o'clock. I don't know what Shane Crock is gonna do after that, but then I'm gonna do Dumb Dorothy. Because he does go to court tomorrow. We're gonna see what happens out of that. Magic mushrooms or raw lavender for pain. I was 19 when they took it. She said magic mushrooms or raw lavender, Alicia. I'm here, Miss Parker. Good night. Okay. I believe we have a surge of all these diseases because almost 10 million people were allowed to come up from all over the world. No vaccines were given. Yep, Detroit's finest. You are absolutely correct. We appreciate you, Miss Parker. Shalom. Okay, Pam. Yes. She said, Latif, I'm single. Kimberly, drop a scripture, please. Drop a scripture. Jeez. I had stage 4 for 15 years and still suffer. I do too. I do too. You got the email, child. Hell, I don't even got the email, Latif. I ain't even see you drop it. Shit. Find somebody's. Okay, 90s, I got you. Wake up, LOL, man. I'm woke. Shit. Yeah, send me some stories, y'all, that y'all want me to cover for our history, because I do want to do that. I think it's good that we do that and stuff like that more often to get away from being drained and stuff like that. Because this was, even though it was sad, it was knowledgeable. And like I said, it's things we need to know. This I want to know. I also want to know, good night, Tanya Love. Why did y'all hide this? Why did y'all want the, she said, flu at the piece of, thank you. Fill your hearts and minds with Christ Jesus. Jeez, shit, hold on. But thank you for that, Kim. We needed that whole rider film. Well, good night. I dropped it. I didn't see it. Did you get mine, Latif? I didn't see it. Alicia, send it to me. I'm pretty sure you caught it. That's how we'll fix that. The hibiscus plant, they drink it in Mexican restaurants. Sell it raw. It will fight cancer. Like, you know, divorce lawyer I'm asking for. Child. We don't went from finding out about these kids to divorce court. Let's make a deal. The love boat. I done got confused. I mean, I know I'm tired, y'all, but child, jeez, it's a tough crowd. Okay, it's a tough crowd. Okay, I'm getting at her for sure for good tonight, y'all. Look, I'm just saying, like, Kimberly can't make it up. You know what I'm saying? She dropped the scripture. They said can't make it up. Man, I appreciate each and every one of y'all for real, for real. I might come back. It depends. I gotta finish my soup. I might just come back in a minute. I think I might for a little bit just to kick it and stuff like that. I ain't gonna stay long if I do, but y'all go and run these streets or get y'all some rest, and I will see y'all back tomorrow. If y'all don't see a notification change, that means I'm coming back tonight. But if y'all see a change, I will see y'all back tomorrow at 7 for this story I'm gonna cover for this family and stuff. So please make sure y'all pull up for that. It's important. I expect my moderators to at least be here for me for that story to show this man that we do care about his story as if it was your story, okay? Gone on. Just gone on. He said blame me. Yeah, the love boat. Yeah, gone on.